All right. Hello, good morning, good evening, and good night. I hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic because today we're going to be looking into the Group A Yieldmax ETFs as well as Ymax and Ymag for their weekly distributions. But what I do want to touch on in this video is we're going to go through all of these distributions. I actually have every single Yieldmax ETF and their underlying company stock charts up for the past week so we could see the performance and base them and compare them, which I think will be kind of fun. As well, I want to look at Ymax and the dividends they've paid out recently because they've been kind of lackluster. They haven't been that great. And as well, so we're talking about dividends, we're talking about comparisons in terms of the underlying to the Yieldmax ETF, and I also want to talk about my portfolio and plans for the future because we're approaching a $50,000 marker in our portfolio, which is fantastic. But I might look to get more capital appreciation, and I want to show the ways in which I am potentially prepared to do that because we have achieved certain levels in our monthly income, which I think could be put to good use in terms of potentially investing in some more capital plays, which I want to talk about as well in this video. But the main thing for this video is we're talking about these dividends that were paid out and that are going to be ex-dividends by tomorrow, which is January 23rd. As well, one other thing that I do want to mention while I have you guys, I read all of your comments and I'm very excited to say that I've been working on a little tracking cash flow template for you guys. Really what I've done here is I have kind of my 2024 results and I want to make a spreadsheet, a tracker for you guys. I've read a lot of your comments. It seems like a lot of people who subscribe to our channel, you guys invest on your own. You guys are so knowledgeable on dividends, on taxes, on the whole basis of earning your own cash flow. And I want to create the best opportunity for you guys, which in my opinion, what gets measured gets accomplished. That's one of my favorite quotes by Dan Pena. And I want to create a spreadsheet for you guys that you guys can track your own results because what gets measured gets accomplished. I want you guys to see your growth month over month, be invested in your future, and have 2025 as your best year in terms of income and hitting your goals in terms of monthly income. So if you guys want to see anything for this tracker, let me know in the comments below and I will tailor it exactly to how you guys would like it. This is kind of just a template right now, extremely rough, still have a lot of work to do, but I just wanted to mention that to you guys so you guys know for the future I am creating that for you guys. So currently we're up to 7,239 subscribers. We have 517 subscribers in the past 28 days. So if you haven't done so, subscribe. And without further ado, all these tabs are going crazy. Let's talk about them a little bit. So I have all the, except for FEET and 5E and YBIT and LFGY, I have the rest of the Yieldmax ETFs that are paying out dividends for Group A, which is mentioned here on Yieldmax. They have an ex-dividend date, which will be tomorrow, January 23rd. And I just kind of want to go over super roughly the performance of the underlying company to the Yieldmax ETF. Because, as we all know, Yieldmax ETFs are for cash flow. They don't necessarily provide us with the best return. And I want to show you why right here. We have Snowflake. Snowflake has increased about 8.62% in the past 5 days. That's an incredible marker. We have the Yieldmax version, Snowy, which went up 5.94%. You can see the Yieldmax ETF is lagging behind. It writes synthetic cover calls on the underlying company, and it takes all of the downside, but is capped on the upside. And that cap on the upside is what kind of creates an underperforming ETF when compared to the underlying. The same is shown for Tesla. Tesla was up 4.73% over the past 5 days, whereas TSLY only up 3.57%. What I'm going to do is I want to actually delete these so we have a little bit more space. It's not so clustered over here. We're moving on to TSM. For those of you that don't know, TSMY is the Yieldmax version. The Yieldmax version up 7.57%, whereas TSM, the underlying stock, up 10.8%. So you can see here that in every example, the Yieldmax ETF is underperforming the underlying stock. And why is this? As I mentioned, capped on the upside, but take all of the downside. And what you get in return is you get a dividend yield. You get a premium paid out to you, whether it be on a weekly or a monthly basis. That's kind of that is the upside investing in Yieldmax ETFs, but you do underperform in terms of the underlying stock. We can move forward. Exxon down negative 0.17%. The Yieldmax version down double that, negative 0.35%. I move along to Google. Google's up 4.59%, whereas GOOY down, or sorry, it's up, but down from Google, it's 3.76%. Why am I showing you guys all this? It's because Yieldmax ETFs are for premium. They can, in certain times, track very closely to the underlying. One thing that I do want to mention is Ymax. I invest in Ymax. It's one of the main investments that I hold in within my portfolios. And if we can go to my transaction history here, which I just want to kind of show you guys all the dividends that I've been paid out, you'll see that Ymax has been paying me a pretty decent marker. It's been lacking in terms of the dividends recently, but I own over 1,000 shares of Ymax between both accounts, and Ymax has actually outperformed the S&P 500 SPY in the past week. We're up 4.41%, and SPY is up 4.17%. So with all this being kind of up in the air, this is the reason why I choose to invest in Ymax compared to individual Yieldmax ETFs. All these individual Yieldmax ETFs are falling behind their underlying stocks, yet Ymax is actually outperforming the overall market and continuing to pay dividends. Of course, this is only on a 5-day basis, so it has not paid a dividend this week yet, or gone ex-dividend, but you can see in the past 5 days, 4.71 for the market, 4.41 for Ymax, which is great. Now that we kind of have that out of the way, what I want to talk about is potentially looking at a capital play, because I do like SPY, but I found one thing, SPXL, which is a 3 times bull on the S&P 500, that I'll likely look to invest into versus SPY, as it offers a better return. And when we look to a yearly calendar, it's performed 71% based. When we're looking at SPY, it's 3 times bull on the S&P 500. So I'll likely look to invest into SPXL, as it obviously produces a better return. It is leveraged, so that is one thing. If you need your money, you're risking a lot on the downside if you need to pull out in a bear market. But if you hold for the long term, it has proven to be a very good investment, even over the 5-year calendar, where SPY is up 83%, and the Drexen Daily S&P 500 3 times bull is up over 157%. So something to keep in mind. But not to kind of jump back and forth here, the reason why I mention this is because we're now earning over $1,000 in terms of monthly income. This is, some of it is return of capital, but a lot is monthly income. It's monthly income from cash flow. Some of it's return of capital. But with the dividends that we are receiving, I would like to put them to work and potentially maybe put half of them towards a capital play. And the capital play that I'll be looking at is SPXL. I'll let you guys know on any buys and anything like that, but that will come with time. One thing as well is I do want to mention Ymax's dividends actually up to 17 cents. And for the past few dividends for Ymax, we've been receiving very tiny dividends. Like I mentioned, this last dividend, 11 cents. If I can go right here, the last dividend for Ymax was 11 cents. And then the prior dividend for Ymax, if I could find that as well, 13 cents. So obviously this is a step in the right direction, but 17 cents is not what we want to be receiving from Ymax. We want to be really receiving about 20 cents, 25 cents, 30 cents at the maximum. And that would of course produce amazing monthly income with all the shares that we have accumulated over the last little while. Of course, it all depends on the overall market, how it performs, and if Ymax is able to track it and capture a lot of that upside with it. Because with all these Yieldmax ETFs, you'll notice a lot of the dividends are smaller than they used to be. And it's due to the fact that just in the recent little while, the reason why I showed you all these underlying stocks and their Yieldmax ETFs is they've all gone up super fast within the week. You're looking at 10% for some of the underlying stocks, and as well 4 to 5% in a week, which are huge gains, which in my opinion, the Yieldmax ETFs weren't able to keep up with. So we need to see slow and steady growth kind of going forward here, which will hopefully look to boost a lot of these dividends and premiums that were being paid out. So I know this video was kind of all over the place. I appreciate you guys sticking with me to the end. I do want to say it's been a pretty amazing journey all the way up to $50,000 in our investing portfolio, but we are by no means done. We're only going to push forward and continue to build. Strategies might change. I might look to invest less into Ymax, for example, and use these dividends as more of a capital play, but we will see. It all depends on where Ymax sits, where SPXL sits, and any other kind of Yieldmax ETFs which I find attractive. Of course, I'm always looking for any deals or anything that I think is of value, and so that's what I'll be doing. I'll be keeping you guys posted with anything that I see. So if you guys did enjoy this video, we're up to 7,239 subscribers. Thank you for sticking with me to the end. I hope you guys do have a great day, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.